Welcome to the Cabral Concept, where board-certified naturopath and integrative health practitioner Dr. Stephen Cabral shares how he was diagnosed at the age of 17 with a life-altering illness and given no hope for recovery. It was only after studying and traveling all over the world did he discover how to combine ancient Ayurvedic healing practices with state-of-the-art naturopathic and functional medicine to fully rebalance the body and re-energize it with life. It's time to discover how to get well, lose weight, and finally feel alive again. And now, here's your host, Dr. Stephen Cabral.
Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the Cabral Concept. It's great to be here with you today. Looking forward to getting into our first Cabral HouseCall of the weekend, where each and every weekend we are answering your questions, our community's questions on all things wellness, weight loss, and anti-aging. We'll talk about health coaching. We'll talk about mindset. We'll talk about mood. We'll talk about everything to do with the human condition. So one of the amazing things about natural health in general is that you are not forced to just talk about, well, we just want to help someone with just vitamin B12. No, it doesn't work that way, because even the people with vitamin B12 deficiencies still need to look at diet and exercise and stress reduction and toxin removal and rest, emotional balance, supplement protocols backed by science, and the success mindset. That is what I call my de-stress protocol. It's something that I put together over the past 20 years, really learning myself how to get well, of course, getting my degree, teaching others how to do the same. So that's really what it's all about. That is what I hope to share with you. And of course, here on our Cabral House Calls, it's specifically dedicated to answering our community's questions. So what I like to do is open up my giant pages document I have here in front of me. This is the very first week of the video podcast. And so there'll be a little bit of learning as we go here. I'm looking forward in the future to probably holding something more up to my face, whether it be, old school paper or an iPad or something like that, rather than looking down at my laptop here. But again, we only learn, we only grow through doing, which is why I said, let's start doing. And that's what we're doing right now. So again, thank you for joining me. Truly appreciate you listening to the show, you supporting the show, reviewing the show, subscribing to the show, all of those things I appreciate. Thank you very much. Let's now get into the first question. The first question today is from Darra. Darra says, hey, good day, Dr. Cabral. Hope all is well with you and your family. I read The Rain Barrel Effect and listen to your podcast regularly and live a healthy life. However, I have hyperpigmentation at the nasolabial laugh lines, chin, between the eyebrows. Don't know if it's due to sun exposure or what. I live in the Caribbean or something. Anyway, I've tried various recommendations from supplements to massage, an esthetician, a skincare expert, ambi cream, or the affected areas to remove them. I am usually against these products, but I hate how they look. Do the benefits outweigh the potential risks, if any, using these products? Oh, also, what are your thoughts on the Unwell series on Netflix, provided you've seen it? Thank you. Have a blessed one. Thank you, Darra. You as well. So just off the bat, I have not heard about the Unwell series. I'll check it out, but I have no idea what it is. For sure, I literally have never heard about it. So I can't give you a thought on that. Okay. So I want to share with you a little bit about what I've seen in my time over the past good 20 years on these nasolabial lines. We've got the furrow lines around the eyebrows. We've got what they refer to as the crow's feet around the eyes. So really, what are we talking about? Well, we're talking about a breakdown in collagen. We're talking about potentially deficiencies in vitamin C, deficiencies in protein, deficiencies in zinc and copper. We're also talking about not getting enough protein in general in the diet, maybe losing a little bit too much weight, being a little bit too dehydrated, and yes, some sun damage from being exposed to the sun as a child, and of course, through adulthood as well. So I want you to think of it as multifactorial. So typically when you are losing more of that plumpness to the skin, then you are also going to have more of those lines and wrinkles. Now, part of it is absolutely genetic. There's a genetic component to how you look. How I look is largely a function of my father and my mother, and then their father and their mother, and then also breathing patterns when I was younger, not being able to breathe through my nose, having a deviated septum, as well as, again, a lot of congestion as a child. I'm sure elongated more of my face. So there's a lot to it. There's a lot to how you look, and genetics is certainly a factor of that. Now, the parts that we can control, we're going to control. So All of which I just gave you is completely true. I mean, I'm recommending right off the bat the daily nutritional support, the advanced collagen support, and our immunity protocol, which, believe it or not, is basically the beauty bundle. It has the vitamin D, it has the zinc, it has the vitamin C. So you have that, you have the advanced collagen, you have the daily nutritional support. You want to feed the body from the inside out. You also want to make sure you're well hydrated. Half your body weight in ounces of water per day is a typical recommendation. Make sure you are exercising to make sure you're not under-eating, making sure you're not dehydrated, that you're getting enough sleep. And of course, I'm okay with good skincare product routines as well. There's lots of good serums that you can put on the face, vitamin C based, there's argan oils, there's, all carrot seed oil. It depends on your skin texture and tone as well. If you are someone that gets more of clogged pores, well, you're going to want a thinner oil used on the face. So these are all things that you can absolutely use to improve your overall skin. I can't recommend any pharmaceutical-based products simply because it's not my field and it's not what I do. So all of that helps. Gua sha, yes, self-massager on the face absolutely helps. Look into our green clay masks that we've talked about before as well. All of these things absolutely do help. Keep, though, working from the inside out. That's really what it's all about. Okay, hopefully that was helpful. Darren is up next. Good day, Dr. Brawl. Hope all is well. It isn't normal to have diarrhea or watery stool on third day of a fast or detox. I use the AM/FM detox, but not the daily nutritional support. Consumed no protein, but took vitamin B, C, D, alpha-lipoic acid, NAC, zinc, dandelion root, black walnut, spirulina, pau d'arco, ginger tea, nettle from supplements I already have, some from you, others from naturopath suppliers. Just want to know if this is normal body removing waste or cause for concern. Thank you and keep up the good work. All right, Darren, allow me to go on a little bit of a rant, all in good fun, but also, really, I do mean this. You should not change a practitioner's protocol. I mean, I just really want to say that. When my attorney gives me advice, when back in the day, a medical doctor gives advice, if a surgeon gives advice, if an expert in their field gives advice, and you change it a little bit, I'm not saying that you can't. This is your life, of course. But if you do that and you get unintended results, it is difficult for any of those experts to kind of put you back on the right track. And the reason is that you took my AM and FM detox out of the equilibrium detox, the functional medicine detox, but you didn't use the daily nutritional support. But the daily nutritional support contains sulforaphane, more reduced glutathione, all your electrolytes to make sure your body stays hydrated while fasting, 20 grams of vegan-based protein. You get 2 of those during the day, so you're getting 40 grams now for the day so that your body makes sure that it's not in too much of a catabolic state, and also that you get all of the collagen support, all the amino acids that you need. And also, you wrote this question very similar to Darra right before, and this is Darra, and I don't know if I'm looking into this too much, but also we have to make sure that you're not in too much of a catabolic state, if that was you, Darra, from the question before. So I don't know the protocol that you were following, and I say that kind of tongue-in-cheek, but I can't recommend enough following the protocol I outlined or one from your functional medicine doctor, naturopathic doctor, or integrative health practitioner, because you did a little bit of a lot of different things, but not a lot of one specific thing. So you didn't do specifically a functional medicine detox. You did part of functional medicine detox, and then you added in a couple liver-based support, a little something for parasites, a little something for an antioxidant, and ginger for the gut. So again, I say this because I want the best for you. That's why I say that. I want the best for you. You spent more money, and I don't think you got as much benefit. So again, that's my philosophy. That's how I think, but it's also based on what I've seen in clinical practice. I was using functional medicine detoxes that was 12 different products before I came out with my own. Then I said, how can we condense, combine, make it easier for people so that they could do a 7, 14, or 21-day functional medicine detox and maximize their results, okay? That's why I did that. I mean, honestly, it's for your benefit. It costs less than the cost of food for the week, essentially, and it's one of the least expensive functional medicine detoxes out there because I cut out the middleman. So, Darren, thank you for writing in. All right, Dawn's up next. Hi, my 25-year-old daughter was diagnosed with Ehlers Danlos syndrome. I never know if I'm pronouncing that correctly, but I know exactly what you're talking about. She was diagnosed with this 3 years ago. She would have been 22 years old. Do you have any experience with the syndrome? Thank you, Dawn. Dawn, I'm going to erase your last name because we like to keep this anonymous. Okay, so again, I don't know if I'm ever pronouncing this correctly. I apologize. There's a lot of medical terms out there. I know the terms. I don't know necessarily the pronunciations all the time. Ehlers Danlos. This is a connective tissue disorder that typically leads to like hypermobile, hyperflexible joints, sometimes called elastic skin. There can be issues with the blood vessels. So now, I've talked about this actually multiple times on the podcast. So what I'd like you to do is simply go to stephencabral.com/podcast, and you can just type in Ehlers, you can type in Danlos, and you'll be able to find it. Because what we do is we look at the total rain barrel. What we would do is we would begin to run something like the Big Five, or at least the starter kit, see what toxicities are, see what deficiencies there are, figure out why there might be higher levels of inflammation, and then work backwards. So that's what we do. We absolutely look at the overall health and quality of the body and not just the dis-ease itself. So Dawn, thank you for writing in. All right, Melissa's up next. Hello again, Dr. Brawl. If you recall, I wrote in recently about my toddler, Bob, GI and eczema issues since birth, lots of testing, functional and conventional, still no real answers. I was so excited to hear you talk of him. It restored my hope. Thank you again for your ongoing investment. You are truly an angel walking among us. Thank you, Melissa. That means a lot to me. We are saving up for the labs you recommend and should have enough by the semi-annual sale in October. If it can't come soon enough, I just want to mention one thing. The semi-annual sale is not in October. Sorry, I apologize. It will be around on the Black Friday, Cyber Monday. Okay, so that's it. Or during the holidays. Anyway, I'll leave it at that. So it can't come soon enough. In the meantime, I know the why, how doesn't necessarily matter, but it's a topic that has always weighed on my mind a lot. I truly believe that stress is what took my Bob's health from him. While I was pregnant, I was under tremendous, unchecked, rampant stress. You always hear that pregnant ladies need to take it easy and not get worked up. I didn't think it mattered. I did nothing to ease my stress, just push through, constantly stressed and angry. It's what keeps coming back to me to when I ponder his why. You talk of stress as a very real cause for health problems and its reduction as essential to healing. How though? How do you reduce stress of a toddler? How do you discipline without stressing? Tiptoeing around trying not to upset him isn't the answer either, right? Thank you. Okay, so I think I know what you're talking about. Okay, but so you have a toddler. So let's say they're somewhere around 2 years old, 3 years old, 4 years old. Okay, somewhere around there. I actually don't know the age, like, oh, this child now is officially a child. It's like, well, somewhere between 12 to 18 months, we stop being a baby, we become a toddler, then we become a child, but we'll say somewhere in that age range because I don't know specifically. But okay, so eczema and stress on a young child can all come from the mother. And I don't mean to say that in a, well, you did something wrong kind of way. It's not that at all. This is about a growth process and learning. So a mother could pass on yeast and candida as well as not the proper gut bacteria to their child. So then that leads to digestive disorders. A mother while pregnant could be extremely stressed. If you look up stressed pregnant women and high levels of cortisol and how it affects gut and brain function, you'll find a considerable amount of research on that. The foods that you eat while pregnant and while nursing can also then potentially cause eczema, other skin conditions, rashes, immune issues with that young child if you're nursing them. This can then lead to additional issues as they become a toddler. So do we know? No, I'm just giving you examples of underlying root causes. Now, Bob could have been exposed to multiple things as well as a toddler. There's no doubt about that. So there's two parts to that. One is, well, we want to be able to make sure that your toddler has proper gut function. Not too much gut bacteria, but enough. Not too much yeast overgrowth, not H. pylori, not parasites, right? These are all things we want to make sure. Probably not parasites, but it's always possible. We also want to make sure that there's not a lot of gut permeability, that gut wall did seal up, right? Because sometimes it doesn't necessarily seal up at 2 years old like it should. So food sensitivities, elimination diets, all that is great, right? You can get your specifics. Our health coaches over at Equilibrium Nutrition are second to none. We're talking about top-level physician's assistants. We're talking about licensed dietitians. We're all integrative health practitioners with amazing backgrounds as well. I mean, these are the best of the best. They're going to look at your labs. I answer their questions when they have questions. We create protocols specifically for you or a toddler. So now, I think you're talking about something different now. How can you not reprimand a toddler without them getting stressed? Well, I think that we might be reading into this too much. You're absolutely allowed to reprimand your child or a toddler. It's not about that, but it's also how we go about it. So I think that there's some great books out there. I've mentioned them before. I would love you to listen to or look up Gabor Mate. Really love his work. I love Alfie Kohn's work. It's Gabormate or Matte. Alfie is Alfie, and then Kohn is Kohn. Punish by Rewards, Unconditional Parenting, all these great things. These are amazing books and amazing people. You can listen to YouTube videos, you can hear them speak, and you can understand that what we want to do is, yes, we can reprimand our child, but in a way that is constructive, right? That's what we want to do. Because a lot of the time, they're not purposely messing up or making mistakes. They may be testing you, but that's also part of normal child development. Now, again, I want to be really honest with you. My kids will sometimes get under my skin and drive me crazy. And yes, sometimes we yell. Kids are okay with that. They really are. If it's not constant, if it's not degrading to them, if they just know that you're upset, but they also know that you love them, then it's easy to get over with. What happens is when a child is always being yelled at and they're worried for their safety and security and they don't feel love because you don't either talk about it afterwards, apologize afterwards. Yes, you can actually apologize to your children. There's been 2 times I remember. My girls are 6 years old, 8 years old. I remember 2 specific times that I just lost my cool because I was doing something at that moment, like I couldn't be distracted. It was something very intricate. I had to do it. And for whatever it was, like my rain barrel had filled up in stress at that point, and then boom, I exploded. And I remember yelling specifically at my older daughter. And so, you know what? I said, I shouldn't have done that, right? I shouldn't have done that. I didn't say anything too crazy, but I yelled, and I really yelled. So what I did, though, is about 5 minutes later, 10 minutes later, she ran off. And I sat down with my daughter. I said, hey, I just want to talk to you for a minute. And I said, how I acted there was because I was stressed. Here's what I was doing. That does not give me the right to yell at you like that. And I want you to know that what I did and how I yelled at you was not right. And I apologize for that. And I think it's very important that we do that with our children so that they know that their parents are also not infallible and that we can also talk and share with them. But do keep in mind that I think overall, kids are going to be okay. So I'm going to keep it at that. All right. Mars is up next. Our last question of the day. Hi, Dr. Cabral. Your programs have been always informative and fun to listen to. Thank you for your knowledge you share. You're truly helpful. I have 3 questions here. They are, will autophagy induce platelet or red blood cell reduction? Will nutrient deficiency or constant caloric deficit induce platelet or red blood cell reduction? Is it fine to do intermittent fasting, 16-8, every day as long as the caloric intake is sufficient? I've been doing intermittent fasting around a year. By the end of last year, I happened to learn that my platelet count drops below the normal range. Fortunately, after a clinic visit, the doctor told me that the related blood index are all fine, and I don't have bleeding symptoms. Since then, I changed my intermittent fasting protocol to 16-8. Doesn't seem like a change, but which should be less intense, I think. But in the recent health check, my platelet count remains the same. So I'm wondering if it is because I exclude rice, which contains folate and iron, from my food plan and remain at 200-calorie deficit at the same time. Or is it simply not good to do intermittent fasting every day because of autophagy has such a kind of impact, a negative effect? Thank you for reviewing my long questions above. Hopefully, I may hear your response on your show. All the best, Mars. Okay. Thank you, Mars, for writing in. And I understand where you're coming from. Now, I would truly love everyone to go back to stephencabral.com/podcasts. Go tune into the previous shows. Because remember, each show is in and to itself one particular topic. But as we begin to accumulate all the shows together, then we realize the interconnectedness of all of these health-based topics. And within the next week or two, we will have a whole category just on intermittent fasting. Okay, so a little confusing because your question looks like you were doing 16-8 intermittent fasting, and then you pick back up with 16-8 intermittent fasting. But regardless, let me answer the question. There is no steadfast amount of fasting that is correct for each person. Let me come up with this. There is no special 16-8. That is not the special magic formula. That is not how it works. Autophagy to varying degrees is always taking place. Autophagy kicks into a greater degree 18 plus hours. And as autophagy kicks in, you're most likely in more of a catabolic state. So could there be red blood cell reduction? And I believe you also named plasma. Well, let me see this, platelet reduction. Well, it could be. I can't say specifically in your case, but it could be if you're putting yourself in a chronic catabolic condition. Now, a catabolic condition means that there's more breaking down than there is rebuilding. What do those red blood cells need? Red blood cells, your B vitamins, specifically B6, B12, folate for sure, right? You don't need to get it through rice, right? You don't need to get those things through rice. You don't have to have rice in your diet to have a healthy diet. Now, you should have some starches, and you might be on not just a 16-8, you might be on a low-carb diet. We already know you're 200 calories deficit each day. Why you're doing that, I don't know. I'm not sure why you'd be in a caloric deficit every single day. That, to me, is not necessarily a recipe for ongoing good health if you're in a state of catabolism all the time, right? That's why I talk about 12 hours to 16 hours, depending on the individual. If you're underweight, certainly don't need the 16 hours, and the more hours before midnight or the more hours before bed, the better, not the more hours earlier in the day. That's not how it works. Once a week, you can do a 24-hour intermittent fast from dinner Sunday night to dinner Monday night, so you're still eating each day. That's something that I do specifically. But again, it has to be right for you. And also looking at your aerobic and resistance-based training. Are you doing enough to keep the muscle in your body? Back to the red blood cells. B vitamins, vitamin C, zinc and copper, magnesium, calcium, iron, all of those are very important. So there's a lot that goes into this. I would just be careful constantly keeping yourself at a deficit. It's one of the fastest ways to age your body. Yes, it is good to be at a caloric deficit at certain points in the day as you are intermittent fasting overnight, and maybe even a 24-hour fast once a week, but not necessarily every single day. Remember, what is good for you does not necessarily become better the more you do it or the longer you do it. That is the problem with a lot of the biohacking community. Well, if low carb is good, well, then no carbs is even better, right? If some protein is good, a lot of protein is even better. If some fat is good, well, then a ton of protein at every single meal and predominance the diet is even better. If some fasting is good, because we know that it increases this, and this, increases autophagy, growth hormone, all these great things, well, then we might as well fast for as long as we can. It does not work that way. There is a point of essentially diminishing returns. And once you pass that for you, your health actually starts to decline. So I would be very careful on the program that you're following right now. I don't believe that it's probably best for your body because you have now an actual dis-ease state of the body, meaning like I'm not diagnosing you with a disease. We don't diagnose disease on the podcast. We don't give treatment protocols. We don't give cures. What we do is we help to rebalance the underlying root causes of these health issues in your body in the first place. So what we want to talk about is why are you in this state in the first place? Why do we see this issue with the blood right now? So I would like to go back to a more centered-based diet, predominantly plant-based. Get your good foods in there. Make sure you're not at a deficit. Make sure maybe that you don't fast to lunch if that's what you're doing right now. That maybe you go from 6 at night or 5 at night to 6 in the morning, 8 in the morning. You could get a nice 12 to 14-hour fast in there and still have breakfast in the morning. So at least something to think about. I appreciate you for asking that question, Mars, and I appreciate everyone for tuning in today. We'll be doing this all again tomorrow, so hopefully you do tune in then. Thank you so much. Again, this is, and if I didn't give you the episode already, episode 1688 of the Cabral Concept. If you want to read over today's questions, you're welcome to go to stephencabral.com/1688. Thank you so much for tuning into the show. I appreciate you. And as always, if this show was helpful, please do feel free to share it with anyone you believe it could serve. Are you ready to heal yourself and then go on to heal others? If so, the Integrative Health Practitioner Institute can help you discover proven functional medicine protocols that blend the best of 7 different healing disciplines from around the world. I personally share with you the exact handouts and protocols I use in my private practice that enable people to get well, lose the weight, and live longer, stronger. I want to pass this information on to the next generation of health coaches, and that is exactly why I created IHP. We are the future of the health coaching industry, and the skills and knowledge you will learn will make you an in-demand certified health coach anywhere in the world. Although we have many medical professionals taking the IHP certifications, no experience is necessary, and half our members have no previous health certifications. At the Integrative Health Practitioner Institute, our motto is a health coach in every home. Our goal is that you take this knowledge and then share it with family, friends, loved ones, your community, or in a practice where you create a career you love and can be proud of. The global IHP community is filled with some of the most kind and caring people in the world, and we can't wait to welcome you into our world soon. For more information or to set up a discovery call with one of our IHP Health Coach graduates, simply head over to integrativehealthpractitioner.org.